They've been working as independent filmmakers now for 10 years, making multiple short films, documentaries, music videos, and now they're set to premiere their first feature film, Cosmos. It is set to premiere in the U.S. theaters and select theaters on demand on November 8th. Please welcome co-writers and directors of Cosmos, Elliot and Zander Weaver.
Hi there, Matt. Thank you for having us.
Hello, I'm Elliot. This is Zander. It's really great to be here.
Yeah. All right. So, just to kind of get things kicked off, where did the idea for Cosmos come about?
Well, before we started work on Cosmos, for a few years we made a series of independent documentaries that we self-produced. They were broadcast, and they're still available, actually, still on TV and on different video-on-demand services. But these documentaries were all about, all on the topic of space and space science. So a lot of NASA content, a lot of Apollo program content. And while we were making those documentaries, we kind of just completely fell in love with the subject, really. We've always been a fan of space and space science and astronomy, but this kind of fueled it even further. So we always say that we were kind of as much in awe as the ground team, the engineers, as we were in awe of the astronauts when we watched this NASA footage. And we thought, could we tell a story about space scientists that showed them in that kind of light with that proficiency and that coolness that they have? And that was kind of the seed, really. We thought, can we do that? And we challenged ourselves, and Cosmos was the result. But we have always been big sci-fi fans. It's our favourite genre, so it was a natural fit, I think, for the first film for us.
Yeah, me as like a Star Wars fan, I have a huge affinity for science fiction as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're huge Star Wars fans. We've actually got 2 Star Wars calendars on our wall next to us, so you're in good company.
Yeah, it's like I've got a bunch of like Star Wars tattoos. I've got tons of posters up and everything. So
incredible. Yeah, we love it. We're big fans.
Yeah, I even have the have you ever heard of the despecialized editions?
We have, yes, yeah. Do you have those?
I have a Blu-ray set of the despecialized editions of the original trilogy.
Wow. Okay, nice. Now we're talking.
That is a level right there.
Yep.
Do you prefer them?
Of course.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, there are some things in the special editions I do kind of prefer, but right. It's never will beat the original theatrical versions.
Yeah,
it's like these are the ways they were supposed to be seen.
Yeah, very true.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, we were a perfect age for the re-release in the 90s of the
special edition.
I think it was a 20-year release.
Yeah, 97. Yeah.
So since then we've just been Star Wars all the way.
Yeah.
Always Star Wars.
Yeah, it was like May of '97 when the special editions were released. I wasn't even I was literally a month away from being born.
Oh wow! No way! Yeah, well, that was.
We went, didn't we?
Yeah,
I was 9.
I would have been 6.
You'd have been about 6.
Yeah.
So we were perfect. So we have obviously learnt since the people that went and saw the original release and all that perhaps weren't so happy with the special editions, but they were our first introduction to Star Wars. So although we appreciate the original, kind of the pure core Star Wars versions, those special editions they are quite special to us too.
They hold a special place in our heart.
They do
What was the biggest hurdle in terms of doing obviously these shorts and the documentaries and everything comparatively to obviously now moving over to this gigantic hurdle of doing a feature film?
What was the biggest difference? Yeah, I would just like the time frame, really. We were told before we jumped into Cosmos, we have some filmmaker friends, and they were like, if you make a 10-minute short and then you want to make a 2-hour feature film, that's just like making, what would that be, 12 shorts. And you go like, okay, that makes sense. But actually it is very different to that. I'd say the biggest difference between the short filmmaking and the feature filmmaking is just the persistence and the stamina, really, that's required to stick with a project for the period of time that it took for us to make Cosmos the way we did, which was, with no support, and we did everything ourselves, particularly in post-production. we were in post on the film, just the two of us, Zander and I, for 28 months, basically solidly. So it was just the two of us sitting in our little home office, glued to the computer screens, and we didn't have much of a social life. We didn't get out much, and
sounds like me.
Yeah, I think that's that creative sort of endeavor, isn't it? But when you're shooting, you've got your actors around you, and you're out and about on location. You see a bit of variety, but I think that the greatest challenge was post-production and the isolation, really, in doing the film this way.
Yeah. It's like I myself am trying to get into making my own feature film, so
amazing.
I've written like God knows how many different scripts and just rewritten them like 5 different times. Yeah. It's like I've tried to write this one MMA film. I'm currently writing an adaptation of The Most Dangerous Game by Richard Connell.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Which there is a feature film of it that was made in like 1932. It's like it was made by the same people who did the 1933 King Kong movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So are you coming close to kind of getting ready to shoot any of these projects that you're working on, or is it still in the writing phase?
A lot of them are still in the writing phases. However, I did get a bit of inspiration as of recently to think, wow, okay, so with current equipment I have and with some of the locations I know I can get, and with some of the people that I have connections with and everything, I think I can do this. And
awesome.
It's like I've started writing a small horror film. It's gonna be sort of a classic haunted house scenario, but I want to do it in a way that in some way hasn't been done before. Like present, obviously the old haunted house scenario has been done countless different times, but I want to present it in a way that is a bit unique to that genre.
That sounds good.
That sounds fantastic.
That sounds like the type of thing you're thinking in a really creative way there, where you're going, well, everyone loves that genre and is familiar with it, but how can I give them something they kind of haven't experienced before?
And also looking at what you've got and kind of taking action with the kit that you have available and looking around at the locations you can get hold of, and I think that's the trick, really. That's a lot of filmmakers can get stuck in development hell because, well, quite frankly, we're all very imaginative and get very creative and excited when we're coming up with ideas, and sometimes that can cause us problems with actually making those films a reality. So I think you're on the right track to look at what you have got available and try and make something with the resources to hand.
Yeah, it's like I've got like EOS Rebel T5i. I've got like a couple of like panel lights and everything. So
yeah, brilliant. With Cosmos, we the whole film was shot on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, which is a very, very affordable cinema camera.
Yeah, I think now you can get it brand new. You can still get it for about a little under $900. Yeah, and then used, I think the cheapest price I saw it for was like $500.
It's very, very accessible.
Didn't someone we know got it on eBay recently?
Yeah, someone we've got a filmmakers network on Facebook, and they posted that they picked one up $600 with extra battery packs. That's and a lens amazing. And everything. So they, it's and also the majority of the film was shot with just 3 LED panel lights, and that included big exteriors out in a forest and all sorts. So there's a lot that's possible
exciting
these days,
time.
And it's a very exciting time for filmmakers, I think.
Yeah. Let's see. Moving on here. Who and or what are some of your biggest inspirations when it comes to filmmaking? Like, who are some of the directors you look up to and have inspired you over the years?
Well, we fell in love with movies when we were really young. So we were watching films when we were like 4 and 5 and 6, and like we've already talked about, Lucas with Star Wars was one of the early films that really made us fall in love with the magic of movies and the imagination of going off into far off worlds and lands. Steven Spielberg, I think the first Spielberg film we probably saw was Hook. Which,
with Robin Williams.
It's just magical.
Such an amazing movie. And again, as you grow up, you learn that some people aren't so so keen on it, but we've got so many friends our age, and you mentioned Hook, and people are just like, oh, Hook,
Yeah, it's
so,
it's definitely one of Spielberg's most underrated films.
I think
underrated.
So too.
Yeah,
I think so
I
too.
agree. The music's stunning, and just the whole feel of it is just it's incredibly magical. And so Spielberg is a huge influence on us. Like, he is certainly our biggest inspiration as a director. Just the stories he chooses to tell and how he tells them, and it's just absolutely wonderful. So, how about you?
Definitely Spielberg.
Amazing.
It's like Spielberg is like probably my big. He is still to this day my favorite filmmaker out there. One of my bigger inspirations, like when I was in high school, was Stanley Kubrick.
Oh wow, yeah.
Specifically with the film 2001: A Space Odyssey. That was like the first sort of sci-fi film that I watched and really had to put my mind to the different stuff that was being put on screen. And then, like, you know, some of the other filmmakers that have definitely inspired me. One of them I definitely look up to right now is Quentin Tarantino. It's like just specifically for his incredible dialogue that he's able to do with pretty much any scenario. They're
very like, he's really good at drawing out. Drawing out sounds like a negative thing, but he's really great at like making these sequences where people are just, you're on tenterhooks. You know, you're sitting there, you're watching something unfold, and it's not necessarily happening at a breakneck speed. It's paced, it's poised, and I mean, Tarantino, you got to admire for like his unique voice. Really, he's really good.
Yeah, for me, my all-time favorite film is Inglourious Bastards, and the scene that always captures me the most, and I could watch it on repeat probably for the rest of my life, is the first 20 minutes of the film.
Right.
It's like it is just the perfect amount of tension building that has been put in film.
I mean, there's some again, you talk about dialogue, his dialogue there, and there are several scenes in that movie where the tension just ratchets up, and really you've got characters kind of looking at each other and speaking. It's almost like he uses the dialogue in a way that I don't know how to describe it, but it's almost the dialogue almost is trying to pull you away from the kind of tension at hand. It's like it's trying to tell you everything's okay, but you know everything's not okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. He's incredibly effective at that, and in our opinion, any film director that just has that unique stamp and that unique voice and that understanding is just, that's directing in our books. It's certain films may not be our kind of cup of tea, but we can definitely respect any director who has that voice and that vision. It's just incredible.
Yeah, it's like some of the best directors out there. Obviously, you got the Tarantinos, the Spielbergs, the Scorseses. It's like Scorsese made one of my all-time favorite films with Casino. So it's like there's a lot of inspiration that comes from his style when it came to some of my very early attempts at doing short films, especially with like Goodfellas, with all the freeze frames and the narration and all that sort of stuff. Anyway,
absolutely. Well, each film has something to give, doesn't it, in terms of to learn from it. And I think the more films you watch, you also realise that there are no rules. Whatever you want to do, if it works for the subject, it works.
Yeah. Going back to from when I first saw the trailer for Cosmos, the one thing that I definitely got a feel of was this felt, as far as not only the feel of it is sort of like a combination between two films that came to mind immediately. It was obviously Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and also I got a feel of the Robert Zemeckis movie Contact, which had Jodie Foster in it. It's like it definitely had the same sort of feel to that, and with Contact, it also had the idea of finding this signal that had possible alien contact and everything.
That's well. Thank you very much for a start. I mean, what a huge compliment. You've picked some fine films there to compare Cosmos with,
and filmmakers.
Yeah, and filmmakers. Wow. I mean, both of them, obviously.
Icons.
Yeah, definitely. We thought when we talk to people about Cosmos and we say it's about discovering a signal from space, sometimes people go, "Oh yeah, that story." And actually, when you stop and think, it's not actually that common of a thread or of an idea for a story. You think it's kind of very much in the public awareness, but actually you can count, like you said, it's contact, it's Close Encounters, and then you're struggling really. And even Close Encounters doesn't really have a signal element. And we thought,
no, it's like
what would be exactly. Yeah. We thought, like, we saw Contact a long time ago actually, but it's just got a fantastic kind of tone to it. Yeah. But we thought, wouldn't it be cool to tell a story like this where you discover a signal, but instead of it being discovered by some big organisation like NASA or SETI, it being discovered by just ordinary people and in very ordinary circumstances. Like, would people believe that they'd found this? Would they be able to prove that they'd found this? What would, how would they bring it to
the attention
light, really?
of
exactly
the public, and it's like, how would they bring it to the attention of the public, and how would they not be seen as complete nut jobs?
That's it. You're absolutely on the mark. So, some of the story of Cosmos deals with them going, well, how are we actually going to prove this? No one's ever going to believe that we did this and all that. So, yeah, we just thought it would be an interesting kind of spin on the idea, and well, thank you very much for that comparison. Blimey.
Yeah. As far as obviously you guys are going to be screening this in the U.S., are there any specific cities and screenings that are in place yet?
We are. Yeah, it is going to be screened in the US. We are currently waiting for a locked list of venues. We're working on it at the moment. We think specifically 8 major cities we're going to try and get the film to. And we're hoping to release that list of where it will be available in the coming week or two. Sorry, go on.
Is one of them possibly Detroit?
One of them is possibly Detroit. Yeah.
Yes. Thank God.
But we know for certain, we can say for certain that one of them will be Los Angeles, and we are coming over in November for some of those screenings. But yeah, we're thrilled to really. I mean, as Brits, like, we grew up, again, all our love for movies come from when we were kids and growing up, and we obviously grew up on a healthy diet of American movies. So for this genre and this subject, it feels very, to us, very like Americana, like you said, Close Encounters and all that. So for Cosmos to be coming to America and to be throwing a slightly British angle on a story that's typically American, and also in a way being a homage to these American movies, it's quite exciting really to be able to share it with you guys first.
Yeah, it almost feels like when Simon Pegg and Nick Frost did the movie Paul, taking that very American idea of the alien invasion movie, or just sci-fi movies in general, and kind of giving this little British spin on it, adding their own flavor of comedy and everything.
Well, hopefully, we hope people. We've shown it to several people over in the States, industry people, distribution contacts, and so forth. And one of the bits of feedback we often get is, like, they love the Britishness of it. They love kind of some of that dry humour, but also just the change of culture really, and the different that different element to it is a fresh take on that genre. Yeah.
Going back to possibly a little bit of behind the scenes stuff, who's the biggest diva on set?
Oh,
geez.
I think a lot of the gear, really.
Yeah.
Hold on one sec. My dogs are going crazy here.
Okay.
They're saying we're the biggest divas.
Yeah, we're most important. I don't know. I'd say the equipment, wouldn't you? Like, getting the definitely. Getting all the gear to work.
Not sure if you can hear this. Listen.
I can hear. Hello.
They want to be part of the podcast.
Oh, of course. Give me 1 second.
No problem.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm back.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Hello.
Hello. Anyway,
How many dogs do you have?
Well, it's like used to have 3. One of them is currently living with my sister, so I have the other 2 here.
Wow.
Chloe, she's a Beagle Terrier mix. She's like 14 years old.
Oh wow!
And
lovely.
And my dog Hunter here. He's a purebred lab, and he's 2, going 2.5.
Oh, lovely.
He's excited.
Very. He's a handful. Anyway, going back to Cosmos and everything. Obviously, from what we've seen in the behind the scenes and everything, you guys are obviously dedicating the film to your father. It's like, can you tell us a little bit more about him, possibly?
Absolutely.
Yeah, our dad was a big inspiration for us. When we were growing up, he was a cameraman, so he used to work on documentaries for British television, and he'd kind of travel around and do amazing things and meet amazing people and come back with these stories. And when we were young and we said, "Oh, I think, Dad, we want to make movies," both our parents were very, very supportive of that decision and that passion, so they very much encouraged it, and they said, if you want to do it, someone's got to do it, so why not you? So we'd grab a home video camera and we'd make our short films with our friends, and they were there all the way through. So yeah, we'd always dreamt, almost as a family really, that one day we'd make a movie together. That was kind of the dream really, and it was very hard to go through what we went through with him and to lose him so close to the shoot of Cosmos. It was a very painful moment, but the film became a dedication to him, like you said, and his kind of character is throughout the film really, which is quite wonderful, and hopefully hopefully people just enjoy the film and the outcome of the journey really, and we have a little dedication on the end there for him as well. So yeah, very very difficult, but huge inspiration for us, and our best friend really, not just a dad, but best friend, and we had many fun times making movies with him.
Yeah. Going back to possibly around the beginning of when you guys were starting to do Cosmos, obviously the first film you were trying to get off the ground was a movie by the name of Encounter, which I have actually seen the concept short film for that, and
cool.
it looks really interesting. I just want to know, can we hear a little bit more about what the possible story for Encounter might be?
Sure, yeah. Encounter was a project that we wrote when we first left school, which is about 13 years ago for me now. I'm sad to say, when I was 18. We wrote it. It was a little bit ambitious for us, as it turns out, for the place we were in our career. We were 2 young guys, and we were trying to get a lot of support for a film and get a crew together. But the core concept of Encounter is, again, following that sort of very well-known alien encounter movie, but putting a slightly different spin on it, which is Encounter is the story of one family who, over the course of a weekend, become the subject of alien interest. But the encounters are not like a nationwide or localized event. Nobody in the local community has experienced anything. It's purely this family. So the whole mystery that surrounds the story that the audience are kind of dragged along on is, what is it about this family or this house or this area that the aliens are interested in? And obviously there's a twist towards the end of the movie which opens everything up. But yeah, we just thought, in reality, if you were facing those circumstances, if I was facing those circumstances, the reality is you'd bolt the doors and try and ride it out. So we thought it would make a really interesting concept for a movie, and hopefully, with Cosmos, if we can use Cosmos as a bit of a calling card to show what, maybe what we can do with a bit more support, then who knows, Encounter might be one of those films that we can get off the ground and share with people.
Yeah, it's like Cosmos, even though obviously it was made for no budget, just from the look of the trailer, it looks like it was made for like $1 million, $2 million. It looks, the cinematography looks absolutely gorgeous. And from what I could see, just from a little bit of the behind the scenes shot, it looks like some of the shots where you guys are kind of where they're all looking up into the sky and everything. It looks like that was mostly done with like green screen work.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there was some green screen. Yeah,
we did a few some green screen stuff there because obviously the camera that
the black magic isn't exactly the best nighttime camera.
No, absolutely. So our logic was, well, if we want to put some stars up there and we want to make it look like it's a beautiful starry night sky, we're never going to get an exposure any other way. So yeah, we did some little green screen comps there as well.
But thank you very much for your compliments on the cinematography. That it's something that we love doing. We love lighting in particular, and we wanted to make the film. One of our inspirations for the film was like submarine movies. Yeah. So, the whole film, or 70% of the film, takes place within the confines of this astronomy car, with all the angle poised lamps and computer screens. And we wanted that similar claustrophobia of like people with beads of sweat and thinking, oh my God, we might have found something here. So, so thank you very much for that. So it's high praise.
Yeah. Again, going back to Cosmos, it took you guys fully 5 years to make this film. In that 5 years, what did you see as the biggest differences in yourselves from like the beginning of pre-production all the way to the end of production? What are the biggest differences you saw in yourselves in between that time?
That's a really good question.
That's a great question.
Do you have anything spring to mind for you?
I think one interesting thing that I felt, in fact I know we both felt, is that as we've mentioned, when we were trying to get Encounter off the ground, and one of the big hurdles we kept running up against was from finance people and people with money sources going, look, you guys, you've got a great story, you've got a great team, but you don't have any experience making movies, and
go make a movie.
Basically go make a movie, and you kind of go like, that's what I'm trying to do. But so Cosmos started by being this vehicle, really, just this means to an end. Okay, fine, we'll go back to the drawing. We'll do what you say. We'll go back to the drawing board. We'll write this script quickly. We'll make this movie, and then when we're done with it, we can come back, throw it across the desk on a Blu-ray, and go, there, we've done it. See, so now can you help us? But actually, in the process of making Cosmos, very, very quickly, in fact, by the time we got the team together with the actors, it became a project that we all fell in love with, and we wouldn't have it any other way now. And we often say that, like, if somebody could give us a time traveling, if we could go back in the DeLorean with a suitcase full of money and never make Cosmos but make Encounter, I'd actually turn that down. I'd be like, no, I'm really happy with going through this process. We've made friends for life in the actors. We've shared experiences that nobody can take away from us, and we're all walking away as well really proud of this film and proud to share it with people, because we think it has some really nice messages in it, and you will understand this as a fan of Spielberg. Sometimes it's not to everyone's taste, but we really wanted to make a movie that made people feel good and gave people hope, and just finished and people were like, I love that. And so I think the biggest growth was actually in coming to appreciate that Cosmos started as a means to an end, but it's ended as something that I'm incredibly proud of to have made, and to be, if we're lucky enough to go on to make other films, to be our first film. But if we never make another film, then I'll forever be proud of making this one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And also, from a technical side of things, the nature in which we made Cosmos, like Elliot's already touched on, the crew for the film was 3. That included Elliot, myself, and our mom. And the main cast was 3. We had a 4th cast member who joined us towards the end and became part of the team. But yeah, we're looking at like 6 to 7 people in the core team, and throughout post-production it was just Elliot and myself, and the amount of things that you pick up and you learn when you make a movie like that, whether it's on set or whether it's in post-production, learning about the sound and the Foley and the mix and visual effects and the grade and how to create artwork and trailers and all sorts. It's a baptism of fire, really. And we spoke to someone the other day and we said, actually, it almost feels like every filmmaker should really push themselves, maybe not to make a feature film because it is an incredibly long journey and incredibly difficult to do in this way, but certainly to go out there with limited resources and challenge themselves, because restrictions breed creativity, and you learn what you're capable of with nothing. And I think when you know what you can do with very little, you get very excited and you get very inspired by what could come with support. But you also always have that certainty in yourself that actually, if all of these people and all of this kit just suddenly dissolved and disappeared, I could still go and make a movie. I could still pull some people together and we could create something special. So I think on top of the learning to kind of love the stories that you're making and like Elliot said, falling in love with Cosmos, not just as a vehicle, but as its own story, I would say also that, we just learned a huge amount technically. And
it was a film school.
It was a film school, 5-year film school, and hopefully it will stand us in a good position moving forwards with other industry professionals.
Yeah. When it comes to like the limited crew and everything, it almost reminds me of Gareth Edwards' first film. It was Monsters. Even though that movie had obviously $500,000 behind it and everything, it's a very limited crew. It's like Gareth, he not only directed and wrote the film, he also was the director of photography, and he was the main visual effects artist. They only had the editor, the line producer, the 2 actors, and him just going into all these locations and everything. And it was definitely shot like guerrilla style and everything, and you can tell that there was a lot of definite passion that went into it, to really I've completely forgotten where I was going with this.
Well, I mean, again, that's an incredible compliment, because Monsters and Gareth Edwards, like, we really respect Gareth Edwards for what he did, and it was literally one of 2 movies, the other being Robert Rodriguez's El Mariachi, that made us go, do you know what, let's give this a go. So
it's Gareth Edwards was a big inspiration.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's like El Mariachi literally made for only like $7,000.
I know. Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah, it's like it's incredible to think, like, it's like he was able to make this movie, and literally Universal was so impressed with it that they literally sent him back with, I think, an extra couple $1,000s in order to get 35mm prints of the 16mm, so that way they could spread it nationally.
Yeah. Have you read his book?
No, I actually haven't.
Rebel Without a Crew. It's great. It's kind of like a diary format of a journal of like the making of the film, and very entertaining, but just very inspiring as well. There's a kind of a letter to the reader at the end, and he just kind of fires you up and gets you very, very inspired to just go out and make your own film. So he was a big inspiration as well.
Yeah. Let's see. And also, since you guys mentioned a Blu-ray, is there going to be a Blu-ray release?
I think there is.
Yeah, as far as we know, that is definitely planned. Definitely DVD and Blu-ray. We got a thing through the other day, didn't we, from the distributor? And it did say Blu-ray.
It did say Blu-ray, so we're very hopeful. Yeah,
that would be lovely.
It's like I better get a copy. Damn it!
We'll have to send one to you.
We can get one sorted, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. Finally, just kind of wrapping up things here. What do you hope to see from the audiences when they see the final film in the theater?
I hope that we live in an interesting time, I think, with movies. I think with the internet and with YouTube and forums, I think people more than ever are like talking and discussing movies. But I think also there has been like a cynicism that's been read about, like, well, this would never happen, and all the sort of the cinema sins generation. And I think there are movies like, if Raiders of the Lost Ark came out next week, I think it would be torn to shreds. But in my opinion, it's literally one of the greatest movies ever made, and I will watch it a million times.
Yeah, it's literally one of the best. It's probably the pinnacle of action adventure.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. You're right, and. So I hope that, in this time of people kind of tearing movies apart, I hope that people can connect with a movie that's more sort of sincere and perhaps sentimental, but just like has genuine intent to just give an audience a fun, enjoyable ride. Like, it's not a big movie. It is a character-driven story, but and in the end, when the movie ends, we feel, and you know, we had our premiere in July, and we got unanimous sort of feedback from people that these characters, you're rooting for them, and although at the end, whatever happens with their story, when it comes to it, the credits roll, all you really care about is the people. And I think if people can walk away from the movies with a smile on their face and they go, oh, I really love that, and they can tell their mate, you've really got to see that movie, I really enjoyed it, then we've done our job. And you know, those are the kind of movies that we love going to see, and if we can give a little bit back and add to that sort of anthology of films, then bloody hell, we've done our job right.
Yeah, definitely. And as we've said, we grew up, I was born in 1991, so the movies I grew up on were, we've discussed Steven Spielberg and the magic and the heart. There's almost a warmth to movies, and actually
you've got like Jumanji, Casper,
yeah,
Men in Black.
Yeah. They're magical, and actually I do feel like that's somewhat missing in modern cinema. It's there are still people doing it, but I hope that maybe people watching Cosmos will go, it will remind them of a different kind of movie, and maybe it will remind them a bit more of their childhood, and I don't know, give them a warm feeling that they go, you know what, I kind of want a bit more of that content in my life. So there's a place for every kind of film, and we're fans of all sorts, from, you know, very gritty, realistic films to fantasy to magic or whatever. We're in it all the way. But we just hope that people connect with Cosmos as like a feel-good adventure, really.
Yeah, it's like I'm definitely incredibly excited to see the film when it finally comes out.
Man, thank you.
It's like just kind of put it in perspective. When I was looking up, when I finally found the trailer, what I was looking up is just, you know, stuff that had been shot on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, because I was possibly thinking of getting one of my own. This was maybe about probably less than a week ago, and then I saw the trailer pop up. I'm like, huh, okay, let's check this out. And then I saw the behind the scenes featurette, and I'm like, okay, now I need to try and get a hold of these guys, see what the hell's going on.
What's happening here?
Amazing.
It's like,
thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's great to connect with you. Thank you for reaching out to us, and you know, we're also really committed. Like, one of the main things we're totally committed to, because we were inspired to make Cosmos this way. Like you said, people like Gareth Edwards and Robert Rodriguez, we were inspired to kind of have that courage to go, do you know what, let's just do it and see what we can do. And we're totally committed to paying that forward and getting out there and telling people, look, you know, if you've got a story in your heart, if you've got a story that you think people connect with, and actually everyone's got a story, there's an audience for everyone's movie, you know. That's the beauty of indie movies, where, you know, the big studio Hollywood system, they've got a big machine, and they've got to make sure their movies get their money back, and therefore they've got to make big movies that appeal to everybody. But with indies, you can tell a movie that's very personal to you, and there will be people who will find it. And we just want to empower filmmakers and inspire them and be like the cheerleader and just go, look, we've done it, we're nothing special, we just got our gear, we got some friends around us, and we made it happen, and you can too. So, you know, grab the gear you've got to hand. A lot of our filmmaker friends, they've got cameras better than the pocket camera. You know, but we love the pocket for so many reasons. And just grab your camera, write your stories, and make those movies, and we'll be waiting to watch them. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And Matt, if you keep in touch about your own projects, please, if you've got any questions, just fire them over, and we'd love to keep talking.
Yeah, it's like. It's like the next video that I'm going to be doing is like a review of Bram Stoker's Dracula, the 1992 movie. Yeah. It's like just recently I posted a video where it was a review of this 1993 straight to VHS movie. It's called High Kicks.
Wow.
It's like it's bad. It is inept.
Is it so bad it's good?
In many ways, yes.
I love those movies.
Gotta love it
It's
so
like
bad. It's good.
you can find the whole damn movie on YouTube.
Oh wow, we'll have to look it up.
Yeah, it's a trip.
It's like for us that's like a Friday night. It's Friday night. It's late, and you're just like, can we just
put high kicks on?
Can we just browse through the channels until we find a movie that's just so bad it's good?
Yeah,
we love particularly action movies.
As a warning, though, as someone who's seen it, all the dialogue and sound effects comes out of the left channel, and all the music comes out of the right channel.
Oh man, never mind.
Damn it! I'm sure that wasn't their intention.
Yeah. That must be. I wonder if that's a VHS thing. I've
got to watch this now. Every movie needs its shot. I need to see high kicks.
Let's do it. Let's make it trend.
Yeah, trending on Twitter.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was the interview. It is great to finally get a hold of you guys and be able to talk about the film and just kind of our shared love of filmmaking and how that's going down. I cannot wait to see the movie this November when it comes out. Hopefully it'll possibly get a screening here in Michigan. I'm just incredibly excited to see what comes about from this.
Well, thank you so much for for reaching out to us. Thanks for the opportunity to chat with you, and thank you for being so supportive of the movie. Like, it really means a lot to us, and from one filmmaker to another. So if you, like Zander said, if you want to continue chatting and you want to ask questions or whatnot, then you've made contact with us now, and you know who we are, and you know where we are. So thank you.
That's like, now if only I could get tickets to the UK.
Well, we'll be coming over there.
We'll be coming over, so hopefully we'll have opportunity.
Come here to Michigan, damn it.
That would be great.
On our road trip.
Let's do a road trip.
A warning though, it will be, let's see, November 8th. It'll probably be pretty cold.
Oh no, I know.
It's like
we think we have it bad here, but
it's like there will more than likely be some snow and ice.
Wow. Really? By November 8th?
God.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, just be thankful that there probably won't be a screening in Minnesota. It's like, by then, 3 feet of snow.
Really? Wow. I remember recently, I don't think it was this year, maybe it was this year, but do you remember that? Well, you will remember it, but we remember even over here, that really, really bad winter storm you had.
Oh, yeah.
Where like all the lakes froze and stuff. Do you remember? Yeah, I mean, we were like, it was on the news here, and we were going, wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the Great Lakes around Michigan, they fully froze over, including the big, like, Lake Michigan just completely froze over. I'm like, just damn.
That's crazy.
That's incredible.
It's like, even in the direct middle of Lake Michigan, it was like 6-7 inches of ice.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's solid, isn't it? Wow. Well, hopefully you won't have a winter that cold for a long time again.
Well, it's like we had a huge polar vortex back in 2013, and the wind chill got down to almost -30.
Oh, wow! That is cold.
We would not be able to have
that was January 2013, and it was like that for about a week and a half.
What did you do? Did you just stay indoors?
For the most part, and then we got a total of maybe about almost 4 feet of snow. That almost every 2 hours at one night, almost every 2 hours, I had to go out with a snowblower and clear the driveway.
Really? Wow.
It was cold, and that entire week and a half, because the wind chill was so cold, they had school entirely off. It's like, no,
that's all right.
It's like, no, we do not want kids standing out in the cold, getting to that bus stop and just freezing to death.
Just frozen.
It's not worth it. Yeah.
Frozen solid. Are you going to get on the bus? Come on, get on the bus. No, they're frozen. Okay.
Frozen to the floor. No, that's it.
It's like they can't even move. They can't blink.
Right. Are you all right? They just ignored me. I didn't pick them up.
Amazing.
Yeah, they're just like icicles. No, we don't get snow that often. We're based in the Midlands, in the middle of England, by Birmingham. So it's. We get a lot of rain here because they're basically off the Irish Sea.
Yeah, I was about to say, is it as dark and wet and depressing as I've heard it was in the summers?
It can be.
Oh yeah, I mean the summers are beautiful. Like when you get the good weather in the UK, like I don't know, it's just one of the most beautiful places. You go out into the countryside and it's just wonderful. But the winters. I mean, we're just creeping out of the summer here, but it's just an instant change. It's gone from sunny mornings to just grey. It's been raining for about 2 weeks solid.
That's literally how it's been here in Michigan right now. It's literally it's like I wake up in the morning and there was 2 days maybe. It's like it's sunny, it's bright, it's clear skies, and then right now it's all gray. It's like it's all still wet outside. It's not raining, but it's wet.
You'd love it here. You'd fit right in.
You'd fit right in.
Yeah. Except you wouldn't have to deal with 4 foot of snow.
No, you wouldn't.
But we get dumped. All the rain clouds that go over Wales just dump on the Midlands.
Quite wet.
Yeah, quite wet. But we whenever we have snow, I remember being at school and it would snow like when you get really light snow, it's like a dusting of sugar.
Yeah,
and we'd all be looking out the window going, "Are they going to cancel school? Are they going?" And the teachers would be like, "No, it's literally like." 2 millimeters deep. There's no way.
It's like it's barely covering the concrete. In fact, it's just melted.
That's the
you're
worst.
like, no, it's disappearing.
For a school kid, seeing the snow hit the ground and just melt is like heartbreaking.
You must have had a load of snow days then at school.
Like if you put the Wayback Machine here and you go back to like the I want to say like let's go back to like 1970. I'll say like 1976. This would be about when my dad was in high school. No snow days.
Really?
There was no such thing. If there was 4 or 5 feet of snow outside, it's bitter cold. Too bad. You're going to school. You're going to get educated.
Wow. You're going to learn, damn it.
You're going to learn how cold it can get.
Today's lesson:
frostbite.
How not to freeze to death.
It's where the old saying of I used to go to. It's like it would be so cold outside. It's like there's the old saying is like you move slower than molasses going uphill in the middle of January.
That's it. It's where men were men.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was great getting in contact with you guys, and I can't wait to see the film this November.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us, and really great to chat.
Send me the audio file, damn it.
Will do.
I'll text you guys the email and everything. So,
will do.
All right.
Thank you. It's great to talk to you, Matt.
Yeah. Have a good day.
You too. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
So what are you going to do this evening?
I don't know. I was thinking tonight might be my last night anyway.
Hi Roy, I'm Mike. And it's great to finally meet you. I listen to space. It's what I do. You can see the universe in a completely different way. You get to give up more of the secrets. What's going on?
I think I found something. It's on a very thin frequency. It's like nothing I've ever seen.
Mike, what is this?
Dave, it's Mike Webster. We got a target signal here.
Stand by. We're not hearing anything yet.
Well, then scan the band.
Look, Mike, I've checked. There's nothing.
Are we the only ones getting this?
I don't see how that's possible. We can't ignore this. We got to stay with it.
Okay, guys, separate the antennas and spread out.
Mike, we're on station and ready to copy.
Let's do this.
You have no idea. No idea what's going on here.
We're getting some serious spikes here, guys.
Hold your position, Roy.
We're losing the signal.
I'll help you if I can. But it's really all on you.
But we don't have a choice. We've got to do something.
It's the choice you make right now that counts. You make the right moves here, and you have in your hands the greatest discovery in the history of mankind.
Hold on! Hold on! Oh, right! Run, Mike, run!